This is the deal breaker, and it is that the S9 unfortunately has a recording time limit.
This video goes to everyone that complain about the S9, and I've got a few things to say. Number one, this is the S9, not the S5 3X, right? And some people say you can't do professional work with this camera
due to a maximum recording time limit of only 15 minutes and the lack of a headphone jack. This camera does not hit the baseline that's required for any new video camera if you're going to use it for professional work.
Well, I don't know what professional work mean in your language, but from what I understand, you can take this camera and use it alongside the S5 IIX, because this is the baby S5 II and S5 IIX. And honestly, most of the time when I am filming, I see myself using this camera 10% of the time when I'm filming alongside the S5 IIX on a professional work or professional project, because number one, this camera gives you 6K, and obviously the S5 gives you 6K, right? You also have open gate, which those cameras do, but if you shoot wedding, I'm gonna say wedding because that's something that most people would say this camera is not good for. But if you shoot wedding with the S5, you can actually take this smaller camera and shoot like the groom or bride getting ready. You don't shoot that for 10 minutes, which we're gonna talk about the record limit time on this camera. You can get those shots and do like a nice highlight to mix it with your A-roll, or which is the S5 IIX or any other cameras that you're using. And most people are talking about recording time limit on this camera. When you're filming in 6K, obviously you do get 10 minutes, and when you're shooting in 4K, you get 15, and when you're shooting in 1080, you do get 20 minutes. And like I've explained in the other video that I made, by the way, I made an in-depth video that you can go and check. I'll leave the link. Basically, recording limit is due to when a camera has too much and they want to protect it from card failure or heating. That's why recording time limits is there, and so many people are complaining about that, but without explaining to their user why most camera have recording time limits. Also, another thing is to do with like tax implication, which I don't know if that was the case, but if you don't know, that might also be another reason. This camera, in my opinion, it is a very, very good camera, because I feel like most people that use this camera, they just go and read the spec sheets and then went on YouTube and bombard us with, you can't do this, and he doesn't have this, and he doesn't have this. Yes, recording time limit, honestly, I would always work around that, because I do have a 6K sensor, open gate, V-Log, IBIS, autofocus, because I can structure my work and film. Let's say I'm shooting like a spec ad, right? Nothing in that spec ad, or not shot in that spec ad, is going to take me 10 minutes to film. It's mostly under a minute anyway, because it's planned. Professional people plan things before they do, hence why you can use this as a professional. You can storyboard, you can shortlist, and you can light, and then you can bring this camera that this guy say you can't use in special work or professional work, and do that. I go to work with a lot of content creators, and something that I've noticed is that, which you might also know, when they come, they literally come with their microphone ready and their handle, and they're vlogging. The screen is literally, hey, this is what we're doing, blah 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 blah. Those people do not put in the headphone jack and listen to their preamp and pre-gain, whatever you think they might do. No, that's why they said this camera is targeted for content creators, and I feel like that's a really good thing, because now they have a full frame sensor that it's very good. and they do have all the real-time light and so many other things that this camera brings. Also IBIS, which is very, very important for content creators. So I don't know what else you want this camera to do, because it's almost like you have a Corvette, but you want your Corvette to run faster than a Bugatti, which doesn't make sense. There's a Bugatti and there's a Corvette. Of course, they all look sporty, but when they are running against each other, one is 3 million and another one is Corvette price, and you can't really say, well, my Corvette is supposed to be like the, no, there is a target audience of everything. So again, people in this 2024, they are so lucky. We come from the 5D Mark IIs and the GH4s and the Sony a7S Mark IIs, and I feel like this camera is offering so much than those cameras that I've mentioned, but we had to work around them. Of course, a7S Mark II was an amazing camera, and it gave you so much ISO range, and you can do so well in low light situation. But most of the time, I never wanted to shoot in low light anyway. And the bit rate on the a7S Mark II was 8 bits, which we really worked with and recorded externally and all that stuff. But I would have loved this to be the time, or to be there on the time when we had the option to use the a7S Mark II, because I would have picked this for once. If I'm filming in 6K, I would make sure that everything I'm doing is under 9 minutes, because I would have to basically record again. And if I'm shooting 4K, same thing. So hey, listen, for anyone complaining about this camera, please don't, because it's just a decent camera. It has all the anamorphic mode, real-time light, and content creator can now go and say, hey, I've got a full frame camera. It's good and it works. And that's all. By the way, you can now go and check the full review that I have